this country. We Jews joined not because we wanted to fight for the country, but we wanted to fight against the Nazis. So we had very, very different motivation, and that's what what I did. Eventually, we went through, and it was Belgium and France and Belgium and Holland, and then I thought, I speak German. I'm perfect. Oh, as perfect as you could be, bilingual. I must be able to do a better job than driving an ambulance. Anybody can drive an ambulance, I mean, with a little bit of instruction. Because you had to be careful not to hit the potholes, because every little bump hurts the people who are wounded. And I said, look, I want to transfer to something where my knowledge of German, but no unit wanted to release any. Are you bored now? Or do you still want me to carry on? Nobody wanted to release anybody from the unit because they were all under strength. People died, people were killed. Eventually, I was transferred, and they sent me back to London to an office above a department store under the roof at Oxford Circus, a secret place. All documents, Nazi documents were shipped there, and I became a document specialist, evaluating and disseminating the German documents. So I was sent me back, and I spent some time in Brussels waiting for a job. And when Hamburg fell, I was sent to Hamburg with somebody else, and they expected me and another guy to check all the Nazi documents in Hamburg. That was a crazy idea, but the army guarded the buildings we went into, and some of the documents we sent back to that place in London, and some we kept. What did we keep? Local letter files. So we had a list of arrest category for different Nazis, different ranks up, and when we got somebody, they would be interrogated, and they would say, I was just a corporal, I was nothing, and then say, yes, okay, now is this your signature? Oh, and you could have the date when you signed as a captain. So you had evidence, and that's what I did. And one day they brought in a man, very good-looking man in British Army uniform. They took his other clothes off and gave him Army uniform. And then they brought him into my office because they knew I was interested. And he was Joachim von Ribbentrop. He was the German foreign minister. He was the very first to mount the scaffold at Nuremberg. Incidentally, I told you before about the Nuremberg rallies where they made these big speeches. Well, the reason the trials were in Nuremberg is because that was the place where they made the big laws. And I asked him that the word Holocaust was not known then. It was the extermination of Jews. And I asked him about that. I was interested, naturally. And he said to me, and he spoke perfect English, and we spoke in English and in German. He said, I didn't know anything about that. It was the Führer. The first I read about it, he said, was in the Hamburger Nachrichtenblatt. Is this called A5, A3, something sheet, double-sided sheet, printed by a newspaper printed by the British? And that's the first he heard about the Holocaust, the extermination of the Jews. He thought I would believe that. He was a social climber. He began as a champagne salesman, then he married into the family. He wasn't a von, actually. He took that name, that von, that special title, he put it on. And then he became Nazi ambassador to the UK. And he goes down in the annals of diplomatic history as having made the greatest faux pas. The greatest faux pas in the annals of diplomatic history, because when he presented his credentials to King George the VI, He clicked his heels and he said, "Hi." Anyway, he is finished. He went anyway. And what else can I tell you?
You tell us about your ancestry.
Wait a minute. I think I will answer some questions now.
What was your name before?
What was my name before? I haven't told you how I changed my name, have I?
That's right.
I must tell you that story. I must tell you. So I went to the officer and I said, I started to tell it, then I forgot. I went to the officer and I said, you know, with my German name, when I get taken prisoner, 50-50 chance, and they'll see who I am, and the whole story will come out, and it won't be the same. So he said, my first name was Wolfgang. Can't be more German than Wolfgang. Today I'm saying, but then it was Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, Wolfgang von Goethe, you know. And my second name was Billig. Now, I don't want anybody to make fun about the name Billig because it doesn't mean cheap, it means inexpensive. So, there are some Billigs sitting in the audience, I can tell you. Anyway, so I wanted to keep my initials, WB. I went to the officer, who was in charge of all the drivers attached to the ambulances. And he said, that's okay, there's an Army Council instruction, Billig. You've changed your name. What do you want to be called? What do I want to be called? That's a bit sudden. I said, I don't know, sir. He said, I'll give you half a day off, go and find yourself a name. Oh, I just digress for a moment. When I made Aliyah, on my own, arrived at Terminal 1. Upstairs was an office, Misra Tapslim, and they took my names, and everything was established. The man said to me, do you want to change your name? It's really true. I don't know, I need notice for that. Once before. The Shaliach in London should have told me that that's one of the questions they might ask me. I might have thought about it, but so he said, go and find yourself a name, said the officer. So I went to the village. There was a village nearby, and there was a red phone box and the phone books in those days. And I looked through. I want to keep my the first name. So I thought, I saw different names with W, William, and I was a snob. I thought, that's Prost. That's too common. But then I saw Walter. I thought, that's very good. I don't know where I'm going to be after the war. There's Walter, Walter, you know, it fits wherever I am, I have a name. So I took a piece of paper, wrote Walter. Now a family name. That is a very, very tricky thing. What's the family going to say after the war if I change my name? And I wanted to keep the issue, but I had to change it. So I looked through the phone book, I saw all the B's. Baker, Butcher, Brown, Bain, that's very common. Too common, it's not for me. Then I saw Bingham, the Right Honourable. What's a Right Honourable? A Right Honourable is the eldest son of a lord who succeeds him to the title. Bingham, that's unusual. I didn't know there was a small town in the middle of England called Bingham. So I thought, that's very good. So the man was called John Bingham, but I'm Walter. So I wrote Bingham, and that was it. So I went back to the office. I said, well, Billig, have you found yourself a name yet? He said, yes, sir. What is it? I fumbled a bit of paper. Gave him a bit of paper. They issued me straight away with new army documents. I sat down in the evening like a newly married woman trying a signature. and the next morning on parade, about 30 drivers. I think I must have been in the middle rank, and the sergeant major calls the roll. Driver Smith, sir. Driver Brown, sir. Sir. Driver Bingham. Kind of emphasis. No answer. No answer. Driver Bingham. No answer. By that time, the other guys in the squad looked around because there was nobody new here. What was he doing? What was he calling? Bingham. Suddenly, he looked at me with a smirk. And he said, isn't your bloody name Bingham? I said, oh yes, I forgot. that's the story of how I changed my name.